If you remember back to the first video, I used those 1 by 1.5 inch strips for to kind of help guide and figuring out what my measurements were for this thing. I can't tell you how useful those have been. I've started out using them for measurements. At the end, I thought I'd be ripping them into 1/4 inch strips to help make the skin, and I may still. I don't have many of them left. I've been using them for a lot of different things. One of the things that I've used them for is I've cut some like little 1/8 inch strips. And what I use these 1/8 inch strips for, I guess I've had some questions about the contours, how I figured out the contours. It's really not that complicated if you want to know the truth about it, and I'll explain here in just a second how I did that. But what I use these strips for is I can lay these or clamp these to the outside and just let it kind of dictate what the lines are. Well, they not only work horizontally, they also work vertically. So you can see that I've put a piece up here that helps define the sides of the sleeper. And if I run them down, I can see what the lines need to be for these extended pieces. I started out with some of the offcuts from building out these ribs, and I'm going to assume for a second that this one's square. But so, for example, underneath here, all I did was stick it up to where it's square. I'll put it on this side to make it a little bit easier to explain. Then I use these strips to come down the sides and define what the contour needs to look like. I mark the board where I want it to end underneath. Mark inside the strip what the outside dimensions of this little extension needs to be. So I have a nice little line. Over to the bandsaw, cut them out. And then I use pocket hole screws to attach them directly to the gussets. I don't know if that's too simple of an explanation, but hopefully it gives you an idea. Well, if you notice over here, I had those protrude out a couple extra inches. And so when I did that, basically all I did is pull it forward and rocked it a little bit, but it gave it kind of a shape that cuts in at the bottom. And the other ones were square. And I really like the look of this, how it tapers in. So here again, I took a piece of pattern material, and then all I did was stick it up underneath. And this has already been cut off, but I stuck it up underneath, took a pencil, traced the line, bring this out. I'm going to make this match this little cut in. So I put it up here on the corner piece, took a pencil, that didn't work very well, took a pencil, and then I just traced on the outside of this gusset how the shape cuts in. I'll take an oscillating saw and I'll trim this to match. That way it has that nice little folded in look underneath all the way around. The sides, I didn't try to match that. I just wanted them to continue the curve to the point where I wanted them to cut off. I marked them at the bottom where I wanted to cut off. This gusset gets larger as it goes that way, but I'm carrying it back to the point that I want it to extend, and then the rest of it I'll shape it out another way. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to pour foam in this corner, and this is going to kind of speak for all the contours. It doesn't matter where it's at so much. Basically, you just want to box in the area that you're pouring the foam, and because you're going to be shaping it when it's over, when you're finished. And what I'm going to do to make this as easy as possible because I actually can see or have access to it. So I'm gonna take this material and I'm gonna trace this shape. Yeah, doesn't have to be perfect, I guess, but kind of gave me a basic shape for this corner. Pair of scissors. See how well this works out. So I suppose there's many ways to do this. I just showed you I cut the piece, trimmed the piece, put it in the corner. Now I want to form it up to the side, box this in. I put some tape on the face of the cardboard. Throw a few staples in it, maybe a couple more, just make sure it doesn't bust loose. I guess that wanted out. So this should be pretty interesting for you. This is a 2-part polyurethane foam. It's part A, part B. It's a 1-to-1 mix ratio. This is the first time that I've used this particular brand. So I am actually not sure how quickly it's going to react. Usually you get a few seconds, you get a few minutes. 1-to-1 mix, 16-ounce cups. Let's do the first one, half and half. So this is part A, and I'm looking for about right there where my thumb is. Here goes nothing. There's one down. And here's number 2. See how fast I can dance. Done deal at this point. So I'm gonna start mixing, and I'll see you over there. Okay, it's starting to react. I can see it. Question is, how much foam should I have put in this thing? Whew. This might have been too much. Oh, yep, it's starting to go. So, grab my tape, close my little window, if I can get it. Yep, it's starting to go. So there's one piece of tape. Here is 2 pieces of tape. And we'll see what happens here. So it's been about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. And I've gone ahead and I've peeled the cardboard off, and I wanted to show you what 16 ounces of foam, of the particular foam that I got. I've got 6-pound density foam, and I just want to show you what I got out of this. Now, I did make a mistake on the bottom. I filled the top part, forgot to fill the bottom, so I got to go back and hit that again. But I want to show you what it left. So this is the inside of the roof enclosure that I made, which was basically by just wrapping cardboard around the area and filling it. This is hard. This 6-pound density stuff is, actually it's rated for structural, so you could fill walls with this and it'll help actually with the structure of it. I did pour it a little too tight. Didn't leave myself much room to do any trimming. But basically what I would have done was taken, you know, the pull saw and just gone through and cut off the excess. In this particular case, I didn't leave any excess. So now this is just a couple seconds after I finished talking about this thing, but I just want to show you, this is so cool. This foam is amazing. I mean, I've already cleaned it up. Wood rasp to shape this thing, and I gotta tell you, it's pretty much where I was going. So I do have to fill in some other places here that I see that I missed, and then I've got to hit this bottom section down here. I really don't have to, but I'm going to anyway. This is the frame for the window that goes on the kitchen side of the camper. All I did here was just build a wood frame for the window to sit in. I think another part of the video I filmed doing that part. And logic for me is that even though this is a camper, there shouldn't be much difference in this and framing a house. These supports were actually, they're pieces of the ribs, the open ribs. They're gonna go 1 foot on center on this side, and they'll connect just below or to the underside of the piece that I'm going to support this frame with. But what I'll probably do is across the top of the roof beams, the beams that basically carry the load across the roof, I'll put another board on the outside of that just to strengthen it a little bit more. Yeah, this is kind of what the window is looking like. Then when I start putting the siding on, what I'll do is I'll measure from the corner to where this window cuts in, and I'll saw the 1/4-inch plywood so that it lays and then follows in as the window comes up. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but right here I have no choice but to let the windows protrude a little bit because the shape of the camper is kind of convex, I guess, and the windows have to be straight, have to be flat. So I was showing you the gas tanks that I decided to install or mount in the corners. Seems like a perfect place to stow those. And the way that I'm going to keep them secure, obviously, is, you know, they're going to be sitting on a platform. But what I did is I made a ring. Just basically, this is a ring. This is the slightly larger than the diameter of a typical 15-pound propane tank. And so the tank will actually sit on the shelf inside of this, which should take care of the side-to-side, front and back type movement. Plus it'll be also strapped like kind of a band clamp thing like you would see on your water heater. And then what I'll probably do on the other side is, because of the weight, it's not that heavy. An empty tank is 15 pounds. With propane in it, it's, I don't know, it's probably approaching 30 pounds, 35 pounds. I do know that 5-gallon bottle of water, you know, multiply that times the weight of water, so you're looking 35, I think it's 7 pounds per gallon. Last time, I don't know, I think it's 7 pounds per gallon. So, you know, you're looking at 35 pounds there. So that'd be pretty equal, comparable. So I'll put the gas tank on one side, water on the other, and then what I'll do is I'll put a pump that will send the water up through the over the top, drop down on the other side, and I'll have my my shower water that'll feed into. It'll have a diverter on it, so it'll go to the sink to wash dishes. It'll also go to the water heater. I like to take the warm showers. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys remember me talking about the lift system, and I had purchased these receivers, the receivers are actually too wide for the base rails. I'm considering doubling that base rail. I can see a very slight sag over some time. And what I'm going for is, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I want this edge to be flush with the inside of the skin, so that the only thing that is sticking out is just this little 1/2-inch receiver portion. And I'm going to put caps inside those to give it a nice finished look. But in the meantime, I have to cut down this other rail and or this other receiver, I'm sorry, and make a match. And I did use the plasma cutter for this. It did an excellent job. Pretty happy with that. And essentially what I'm thinking about doing is, if I double up the base rails, that'll give me 3 inches of solid contact there, and I'm absolutely sure it'll be able to support the load. So ideally what would happen is that I would route out the bottom of the or the top of the second base rail. Then the rail would go on top of this. I have a 1.5 by 4 here. This would bolt to it on this side. This piece would extend underneath the main supports that go over the sleeper, which is also, like I say, pretty much the center if you had to define a center of gravity for this thing is pretty well balanced. The center of it, of the weight for the unit, is pretty much sitting on top of this plate. Little stand for the steamer tube, I guess. I tell you, I just threw that thing together probably in about 15 minutes. I think I'm going to actually put a few more minutes into it, put some proper feet on those legs, because I'll use this thing again and again for different projects. So. So this is the second piece of wood that I steamed. The first piece of wood that I steamed was a 1/2 inch. It was a 1/2 inch slice off of a 4x4. This piece is a 1.5 inch piece off of the Southern Yellow Pine, which was not kiln dried. Pretty much have discovered that kiln dried wood is a no-go. Doesn't really want to take steam very well. A piece that I had in before was in more than twice as long than it needed to be, and it was not that flexible. This piece is about 3/8 of an inch, and it's only half as wide. Did really well. So